Hey there everyone, my name is Vasim, and welcome to my how-to video. I've worked in finance for a couple of years now, and along the way I found some nifty tips using Microsoft Excel that I'd love to share with you. Today, we're going to be discussing the SUMIF formula. It's one of my favorite formulas to use when I've got large volumes of data that I'm working with, and I need to quickly summarize a grand total by a specific type of criteria. Now that theory might sound a bit complicated at first, but I promise by the end of this video, you'll have a much better understanding. So let's get to it. The SUMIF literally means what it sounds like. It adds up the sum of a set of data if a certain criteria is present. So, if you have a bunch of data that's organized by a specific name or number, and you wanted to add up the totals based on a certain piece of that data, this formula would be a benefit to you. Now the formula itself is structured in three components. The first part is the range, which is essentially the range of cells that your criteria is in. The second part is the criteria, which is essentially what you want Excel to sum by. This could be a number or a string of text. And lastly, we've got the sum range, which is the range of cells that has the dollar values you are asking Excel to add up. Now to understand this concept a bit better, let's run through a live example where we are performing a SUMIF by a string of text. Alright, so here we have a data set that's organized by a few columns. We've got vendor name, we've got taxes, and we've got totals. And let's say we wanted to sum up the total amount of taxes that were paid to the vendor Sherwell. This is a perfect example of how the SUMIF formula would come in handy. To write the formula, you would type equals SUMIF, and then open up your bracket. In this case, the data in the vendor column would be our range, Sherwell would be our criteria, and the data in the taxes column would be our sum range. So, for the first part of the formula, called the range, we would select the data in the vendor column and then hit the comma button. Now just a side note, whenever you are writing a formula in Excel, there are two things to pay attention to. First, the bolded text that is within the formula shows you what part of the formula you are in. And second, commas separate arguments within a formula. Every time you type in a comma, you will move forward one step in that formula. So right now, we are in the criteria component, as you can see. If I hit the comma button, we will move to the sum range portion. Now that's just important to remember whenever you are writing formulas in Excel. Anywho, back to our SUMIF example. Now that we are in the criteria component, we would type the word Sherwell in quotations. Always remember to use quotations when typing the criteria in. Press the comma button again to bring you to the last part of the SUMIF formula, the sum range. So in the first part of our formula, we've told Excel that we wanted to search the vendor column for our criteria Sherwell. In the second part, we told Excel that our criteria is Sherwell. And for the last piece, we just have to tell Excel what data we would like it to add up. So we would select the range of cells that are in the taxes column. Close our bracket, hit enter, and voila, we've got a grand total here. We now have a total of taxes paid to Sherwell based on this data set. Pretty cool, right? Now Excel, like any tool, can be used in a variety of ways. We couldn't have gotten the same result using sorting and/or filters. So let's do that now, just to verify that we have the right totals. We'll filter this data by Sherwell, and then we'll select the taxes. So as you can see at the bottom here, the sum is $110,209.78, which matches exactly to our SUMIF formula. Now, in this data set, we had about 30 lines of data. But if we had 30,000 lines of data, the SUMIF would have given us that total much faster. So if you have any suggestions or critiques, you can leave them in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and happy excelling!